Have you ever wondered why Alastor is so darn strong, and also how he managed to rise to power overnight? Well, I may have the answer, but before I tell you why, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I make theory videos on animated shows such as Hazbin and Helluva Boss, and even more cool content which you should check out on my channel after watching this video.
What's the deal with Smiles over there?
Wait, you've never heard of him before?
Alastor is part Creole and was born around the early 1900s. He lived in Louisiana as a radio host until dying in his 30s during 1933. He was both a serial killer and cannibal who would bury the bodies of his victims in deer hunting grounds. While it's common belief that Alastor was a Wendigo in his past life, Vaggie stated that he simply had Wendigo-like features and never once said he was a literal Wendigo. The initial reason for his deer-like appearance in the afterlife was that the original concept for his character was a deer who died at the hands of a dog. Instead, Forstis, the visual developer and illustrator for the show, confirmed that his backstory is now that he was mistaken for a deer while he was burying one of his victims. Now we know who Alastor was, we now need to talk about who Alastor is. Alastor is now an extremely powerful deer-based demon, known as the Radio Demon for toppling all of Hell's overlords seemingly overnight and broadcasting the carnage to the whole of Hell, live on radio. One of his most deadly traits is his status as a deal maker, strategically striking deals with other demons to acquire power and wealth. Alastor greatly enjoys the suffering of others, visibly apparent from the crazed smile on his face during the montage showcasing the various atrocities he has committed. Despite this, he has a tendency to show mercy to the weak. For one thing, despite being implied to enjoy seeing children suffer in the pilot,
why, I haven't been that entertained since the stock market crash of 1929! So many orphans.
It's been noted that he would raise an abandoned orphan until they were old enough to fend for themselves. Even more striking is that in his prequel comic, we see him come to the aid of a defenseless demon who was presumably about to be eaten by a butcher who he then brutally murdered and ate. This leads me to believe that not only would he protect the weak, but he may even detest those that would take advantage of them. So you may be wondering, why is this important? I think it's likely that Alastor wasn't simply just a cannibalistic serial killer when he was living, but that he would specifically kill and eat people he saw as preying on the vulnerable. Specifically, he would kill deer hunters. Why? Well, there's two reasons. The first of these two reasons is that he views deers as weak and helpless, just like the demon he saved from the butcher, and thus he would kill the hunters in order to avenge them. Hell, his name literally translates to Spirits of Revenge in Greek. Secondly, avenging the deer in this way may have acted as a sort of sacrificial ritual, appeasing the Goetic demon earl known as Furfur.
Say what now?
As we know from Stolas, Vaggie has already borrowed from the Lesser Key of Solomon before. This is where the practice of Ars Goetia originates from, which is a practice involving the summoning of Goetic demons to Earth. Furfur, first and foremost, is part deer, and is known for many things, but the most important is that he teaches divine secrets. It would be understandable, seeing that Furfur is part deer, that he might view deer as his kin, and it's then possible that knowing Alastor was a protector of the weak, that he struck a deal with him to kill the deer hunters and to bury their bodies in deer hunting grounds. To be a literal spirit of revenge. In exchange, he would be granted with Furfur's divine secrets, which would allow him to pull off the insane feats of supernatural ability that bested the overlords. This would not only explain the oddly specific place where he would bury the bodies of the deer hunters, but it also falls in line with Alastor's history as a deal maker. However, there's even more evidence to suggest that Alastor has some kind of connection to Furfur. For one thing, the demon's name most likely derives from Furcifer, roughly translating to scoundrel, a person who carries out deliberate evil. And unless compelled to tell the truth in a magic triangle, Furfur is extremely deceptive. Who else do we know that carries out deliberate evil and is also extremely deceptive? You guessed it.
Hello!
In the universe of Hazbin Hotel, demons can elevate their status and gain dark powers by making deals, soul dealing or taking them by force. As stated in an art stream by Viv, However, the key thing to remember here is that Vaggie claims that Alastor manifested and seized power overnight, and that a mortal soul has never harnessed that much raw power before. In order for this to happen, there had to be some very special circumstances, as a single day most likely wouldn't be enough time to ascend through the ranks. While it's a popular headcanon that the more evil that you were, the stronger that your demon form is, if Alastor was the most evil mortal to ever exist, his moral compass, albeit a very crooked moral compass, probably wouldn't exist at all. In conclusion, the only way Alastor could become so powerful so quickly is by making a deal with a very strong demon. Rather than just simply having an affinity for deers, this may be why his soul took the form of a deer. It resembles Furfur. Well, that's all folks, hope you enjoyed it. Comment with your theories down below or ask me about mine. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.